Hi, and welcome back to this channel. I would like to start off by giving 3 Gold Star awards. My first Gold Star award goes to a sub. She has been doing a lot of my dirty work, and at my request, she has been going through transcripts, searching videos, editing, and then sending me the clips. On the Jason Goodman channel, he has a researcher called Wow What Big Eyes You've Got. I have followed that theme and decided to call her Little Red Riding Hood. So I would like all of us to say a very big special thank you to her for her hard work and the fact that she's kept me going. She's now on a short break for Christmas and I hope she comes back soon. My second award goes to Gretchen. Hi Gretchen. I was going back over previous comments on previous videos and you left a one-liner and I missed it. But you made a very, very good point. You said that the door reader is missing and you've slightly given me a headache. If you look at this blown up photograph, you can actually see the shadow of the door access that goes around the handle actually missing. You can actually take the whole of that reader off the front, but the door would still not open. So my question to all of you to help me and Gretchen out is why do you believe that the door reader around the handle is missing? My third gold award goes to Scott R. Scott had sent me an email, referenced this picture, and it was in relation to the gun. He asked me, "What do I see?" And I said to him that the blood on the barrel was giving me a very big problem and I would cover it. However, he wrote back to me and he said, "No, there's something else with the gun." So I zoomed in to here and he made the point that it looks like there is a bullet casing or a bullet placed upon the top of the gun. Very well spotted. So again, I ask all of you to leave your comment below and tell us, do you believe that that is a bullet on top of the gun? I have put myself up in the firing line by sharing my thoughts in public based upon my logical reasoning, my opinions and my thoughts, and my own conjecture. I accept that I am in the public eye, but now I face a dilemma. Do I keep going back over comments people have made or do I move on? If I keep going back to justify my opinions, I get stuck in a circle and then go back to what I originally said. Then I feel I have to make another video addressing what I previously said. If I move on, people will think I am ignoring them and the fact that I must be wrong. I am not doing this for my benefit and I am not spending all of my free time to look good or to sound intelligent. I strongly believe in my heart that something is wrong with the narrative and it just does not make sense. In my last video, I noticed a comment left by a Mr. Hoover. Mr. Hoover said, "You killed it, 100% correct. It was Levi Hancock. He put the rifle there. He took the pick. He gave it to Jackie from Boston. He was the SWAT officer, not on CBS, under investigation for nominal evaluation." Well, as my subs know on here, I do not lie. I checked out with a very reliable source who has contacts high up. He actually sent me an email to say that he had checked this out, and from his contact, it was not correct. He said that Levi Hancock is not under investigation for putting the rifle there. I never said he did. I do not know who placed the gun over his leg. I place 2 strong points that if I was a lawyer, I would want to further investigate. Some people on here really do not watch and listen to what I am saying. They have brought up points I have clearly pointed out in the video. I said very clearly that the door alarm that went off for Campos to investigate was not the fire door. It was a guest room. I also said that in referring to the fire door that there would be marks on the door, and nowhere did I imply that it was reference to marks left by the bracket. It showed me that people are still not listening. They want to hear what they want to hear. Maybe they think they know better, and that is also fine by me. But please ask valid questions after you've listened and understood what I have said. Now, this video, I want to deliver this the gospel according to Schuck. The video I know will be so controversial. This is not based upon physical evidence. This is my thoughts on what people said and what they did not say. This I know will have more holes than if you shoot through a door with 200 bullets. Now, I'm going to say, to end this video, I will say something that could have serious implications and consequences, and it be for you people to make your own judgment. So, to the Gospel according to Schuck. Now, before I get into this, I want to say a couple of things. The first being about body language. This is not an exact science. Some people see different things. First of all, you really need, in my opinion, what I call a baseline, which is a previous interview. You can then look at the next interview and then compare it to the baseline. For example, someone blinking a lot may be a normal thing and is not trying to be deceitful. But there are some good indicators that you can get and get your spidey senses tingling. For me, this is about someone telling you a story and you feel that something is not quite right, but you can't put your finger on it. Well, for me, this is you picking up subconsciously the indicators. What I do is to watch the video with the sound turned off, and if I feel the body language is telling me something different, I will take notes and I will go back to what that person is saying. This can take many, many plays. Most of the time, it gives you what is called micro expressions. Now, to the second thing I study. I have said it before, and it's called statement analysis. There are many fancy terms and names for this, but at the end of the day, it is all about listening to what they say, how they say it, what they said, and then listening for what they did not say. I then look for what I consider is out of the norm or what I think is normal. For example, the door was blocked. This I showed in my last video. That for me was not normal. In actual fact, Shook said the right thing, which was at 42 seconds into his interview, and he said, I was called to check out a fire door that would not open. For me, that is normal. Now, I will not give you lessons because I'm no expert, but I can get by. People add words and miss words, and that is what I look for. Something like a paragraph can tell me so much. As I said, this is not a lesson on statement analysis, but I will place some links below for you to have a look at later on. So with that, let me start off with the body language of Shuck's interview. I won't say much about the body language because some people have already covered this, and I do not want you to think I'm just copying. So this is an overview of my opinions. I watched his body language and I did see the earpiece. People were saying, look, they are telling him what to say. However, I have seen TV presenters with earpieces in, and I believe this was to hear the presenter's questions. So for me, it was inconclusive. I do not think they are that stupid, but maybe I'm wrong and they are that stupid. His upper body looked so very tense and rigid. People try to do this as to try to control their body movements, as to give nothing away. But in my opinion, he did slip twice with the shrug of his shoulders. It was so very quick and I slowed it down as much as I could. But even then, if you blink, you may have missed it. If you now go to the Ellen video, it's so much different. He has plenty of body expression, his upper torso moving and expressing with his hands and his arms. He is now very confident. I don't want to say too much about Campos at this time, but if you look at Campos at the start of the video, he does look at Shook. In my opinion, all the way through the video, it looks like he's very worried about Shook. The biggest thing for me was the nod in his head in a negative way. At 2 minutes and 34 seconds, he says, nodding no, I am so incredibly blessed. Now twin that with statement analysis. Is that what I would say? No. It would be something like, I feel incredibly blessed. So let me talk about that for a moment. After I watched it about 5 times, I just wanted to listen with the visual shut off. Like his body, I wanted to listen how he was saying these things he described on his side of the story. He gave me the opinion that there is deceit in there. It felt as if I had asked Shuck to watch a part of a film and to pretend that he is a character within that film. I then would switch off the film and then I would say to Shuck, talk me through just describing the event. It would be as he did on his interview. The detail would be there, but what I know is missing is the feelings because he would be divorced from it. So when I listen to Shuck's audio, there are no feelings to the event. I am now going to play 2 short clips. One is of the audio when he radioed in, and the second one comes from the scanner.
Call the police. Someone's firing a gun up here. Someone's firing a rifle on the 32nd floor down the hallway.
Security wants to know if you know a room.
It's at the end of the hallway. I can't tell you what room. He looked like he fired down the hallway when I got close to the door.
We're just north of Maple Highway Drive, east of the boulevard. We got about 40 to 50 people. We're pinned against this wall. Right. We're taking gunfire. It's going right over our heads. There's debris coming over our heads. So we're pinned down here with a bunch of civilians. Control 166. I have a gunshot victim at gate 4. Gunshot to the leg. Okay, we can't worry about victims. We need to stop the shooter before we have more victims. Anybody have eyes on this shooter? About 15-4 on the Mandalay Bay, facing a whole lot. Control 3-way on the right, UMC. One officer shot, UMC through.
Can you advise who was shot? Can any unit advise the officer that's been...
67 SE. We have multiple victims shot fired right at the medical tent. We got one shot in the head.
Hey, officers, please stay calm. Just relax. We're trying to get this set up. Okay, just stay calm.
Here you have two versions. In the first, we have a guy who probably has never had someone firing a gun at him in all of his life. And yet, on the second clip, we have professionals who, in all likelihood, have been in life threatening positions before. Even the dispatcher said, "Calm down, guys." I am sorry, but in my opinion, this Schuck audio seems staged. He is a maintenance guy and there's no tremor in his voice. I am a calm individual, but I am telling you now there is no way I would be that calm. It is hard for me to visualize myself and describe what I would sound like, but I am sure it would not sound like that. So let me start with his interview. Before I start, let me say this. This is my opinion based upon how I interpreted the interview and is not based on actual fact. You may well disagree, but as I always say, that is fine. What I would like you to do is to take notes on what I am saying and then compare it to the video at the end where I will play the whole Schuck interview. So let me start at the start of his interview. I generally get red flags and blue flags, red big and blue small. So at the start, the presenter said the words, "There has been a lot of confusion how this transpired." Well, there was a red flag for me straight away by the presenter. I know at that time there was some confusion over the timeline, but that did not feel right to open up this interview by saying the word confusion. Schuck replied with a double emphasis, "My story, my side." This started a small red flag. This is my story to clear up that confusion. You believe me and you believe what I'm saying to clear this confusion up. I will now play the start of this interview up until about 1 minute 13 seconds, and I will tell you what caught my attention.
My side, my story, I was on a higher floor when I was called to check out a fire exit door that would not open. So I came down to the 32nd floor from a different wing, and I was walking down. I didn't hear anything. Kept walking. I turned the corner from what we call the center core into the 100 hallway. I thought I saw someone poke their head out, but nothing set off my radar unusual yet, and it was silent at this time.
What were the words that flagged up? The first part is of his journey, and then the words that flagged up. These were the words thought, but radar, yet, and silent at this time. Let's think about his journey, the walking verse. We know that Campos was on his own when he had, 20 shots fired at him? Schuck said, "I walked from a different wing." He licked his lip and then his lips tightened as to stop himself. This is generally an indicator of deceit. He then said, "kept walking," missing a pronoun, the word I, which was interesting. Notice the head nodding in a negative motion. So in that time, he heard no shot. So Campos dived into the doorway as Schuck is walking down. How do you think Campos in a doorway would pop his head out after having 20 rounds shot at him? I would have said very quickly. He said, "I thought I saw a head." What else would be coming out of a doorway? It must have been just a head, or Schuck would have seen the uniform. I would imagine the head would dart in and out of the doorway very quickly, as not to get his head blown off. So my question is, would that not appear unusual? At times you can see him pause his words with an indication he is really thinking of what to say next. Then he said the words, "but how would we know that a head darting in and out would not set off my radar?" He is looking to me for me to agree, by saying you know. The word radar seemed strange to me. When I went to the Ellen video, he used the right term, which I would say was normal. He said nothing out of the ordinary. Nothing about radar. Remember, the Ellen interview came well after his first interview. He wants to make sure we understand that it was quiet. The other strange word was the use of the word yet. That word for me is present tense in a past event. Now let me get to the shootings. He said in his first interview he was a third of the way down the hallway, and yet in the Ellen interview he said he was halfway down. Discrepancy you might not think so much, but he did say about the doors were set back about a foot. So now we're talking about the second round. As Campos had already been shot at, he stated that they were not in the hallway yet, so we know that the shooter was firing out of the window. Go back to my latest video where I asked, why did the shooter stop and go back to the door? We can only assume that the shooter had caught a glimpse of Campos and Schuck via the peephole camera. So now when you go to the Ellen video, listen to what he says about the random shots. I did not know it was shooting. I thought it was a jackhammer. Wow, where did that come from? So I asked myself why. This word is dramatization. He then tried to backtrack by saying, I know we would not be working up here at night. When and why on earth, Mr Schuck, would anybody be using a jackhammer in a guest room even in the daytime? He said this was not in the hallway yet, so this jackhammer noise is the shooter firing out of the window. Then I thought, if that is a sound shooting from the window and is a jackhammer sound, how come you never heard the first round of shots? Well, maybe it was because you were in the lift, or indeed maybe you was not there. Remember, this is now the second volley. First at Campos, now out of the window. Please remember what I said about the shooter's movement in British Fish and Chips Part 2. Now, in the first interview, just as Campos said at him, the shooter had left the window and started firing again through the door. This is now the third volley. So what does he say about that? Well, in the first interview at 1 minute 30 seconds, he said, popped out, and Ellen, he said, leaned out. That was a bit of a flag for me. There is a big difference between popped out and leaned out. At 1:39, as I started to go for the doorway, he didn't dive or he didn't run into the doorway, I could feel them pass right behind my head. Something hit my back. I thought, what could that be? So I checked the Ellen video, and at 4:46, he said I could feel the pressure. No mention of something hitting his back. So again, that was a flag for me. This is something that I would not forget. Now we go back to the first interview at 2:06. As soon as the shooting stopped, we made our way down the hallway. We took cover and then the shooting started again. This is now the fourth volley and the third time through the door. So let us look at this event. This is when Schuck had radioed in. Just remember, he stayed calm and yet he's been shot at the first time. He did use the word relentless, which again was an odd word for me. Now at 2:08, Schuck said, we made our way down the hallway and took cover again, and then the shooting started again. Well, let us think about that. Campos said, and he did struggle, Campos, to say that he lifted his pant leg up and he saw the blood. Just a small note here, he said the blood, and that is a small red flag. So he has been hitting the leg, and remember when he came on stage at the Ellen, he was using a walking stick, and this was 17 days after. No mention that Schuck had helped him, although looking at the sizes between the two of them, I'm not surprised. So Campos, unaided, made his way down the hallway. We took cover again. Question, did you both take cover in the same doorway? We made our way down. Was it a leisurely stroll? Campos couldn't run because he was shot in the leg. So Mr Schuck and Mr Campos, you took a risk knowing the shooter was at the door to make your way down the hallway. Now the interviewer asked him about being so calm. This was a blue flag for me, was when he started his answer. He said, I am incredibly blessed that somehow, not I felt incredibly blessed. He was recalling an event with no feeling or emotion. He may well have said he was calm, but I bet your backside his heart was pumping as fast as it would go. I don't want to go into the rest of that part because it is so weak, and I did notice the negative nodding as he was going through it. At one stage, he even forgot Campos when he said, "It's only going to get me killed." What happened to us? This was just before he radioed in. Now I'm going to check this through because I checked with my friends, and this was in reference to when he was asked about Campos saving his life. He replied at 3:19, "Yes," with an affirmative nod. "My whole family and we all appreciate him now." And he was slightly nodding in a negative way. Then I thought, what would be the norm? And I said to myself, I would have said, "Yes, he saved my life, and I can't thank him enough. I owe him my life." I am positive that I would not said, "My whole family appreciated it," especially with the negative nodding. I thought it odd, but as I said, one of my friends have said, "Yeah, I would have said that." So maybe it is the norm. Maybe you can tell me down below. But for me, no. So now the big red flag starts with me at 3:36. What happened when the police arrived, Stephen? Was you still there? Let's think about what you said between 3:36 and 4:23. And let me go through this bit by bit. As the presenter finished the question, this caused you to be very uncomfortable. You licked your lips. This is not because he was thirsty. He could have done that anywhere, but he subconsciously done it at the moment the question was finished. This is nerves. The mouth is dry, and then he backed it up with clenching his lips very close together. This is a big indicator in body language that he is really nervous of this part. Now, to what he said, "I was there, yes." We, meaning me and Campos, were kind of directing him. Him, singular. So, Mr Schuck, how do we kind of direct him? Both together. I asked myself, was it a very complex route? Me and Jesus, we never saw the door open, so we thought he was shooting from the peephole in the door. We never saw and we never thought. So, Mr Schuck, what did you and Campos do? Did you have a meeting in the hallway to discuss the details that you were going to give to the police? Remember what Schuck said. We thought he was shooting from the peephole. But 7 days later on the Ellie show at 3:26, Ellen said he shot through the door, right? And Campos answered yes from behind the door. I didn't know how he was shooting. He did not say through the peephole, Mr. Schuck, did he? Red flag. Now the next red flag, Mr. Schuck. At 4 minutes in your interview, you said, "Just telling police that," and then my supervisor was there. He handed me his master keys. So, Mr. Schuck, how do you account for this? At 18 minutes and 22 seconds on the police audio scanner, which I have now worked out was 10:24, and I will go through this later, it states from a police officer, "We have a security officer also shot in the leg on the 32nd floor. He's standing by the elevator." At 18 minutes and 40 seconds, which I still believe is 10:24, it states, and I quote, "We might need to split these channels. We're going to need a dedicated one for this 32nd floor, I think. He shot down the hallway and hit a security guard." So my question to you, Mr. Schuck, where were you and your supervisor who handed you the keys? Who are we to believe? So then you said he handed me his master keys and I ran. Ah, right, now all of a sudden you're beginning to run. So you ran down and you shut off all the guest elevators and stopped guests on the basement floor. Good thinking, Mr. Sharp. Did it not appear to you that you would also be stopping the rest of the armed police from coming up? So now you went down 32 floors to the basement. You wanted to tell them that there was an incident upstairs and that you made your way back up to the 32nd floor so you could hand the keys back to the police. My question to you, Mr. Police, why did you not advise Shuck not to stop the lift, as this would stop other police officers from coming up? Why did you not radio in to tell them that the maintenance guy was going to shut off the elevator? Not one word mentioned. Now, I have a problem. Some 21 minutes later, this comes over the scanner. So this now I believe is 10:45 p.m. 896. Who's ever out there with the maintenance guy for the Mandalay Bay, we need to keep the elevator back up with the main bank elevators. We have a whole bunch of us waiting to go up. So this is some 21 minutes later. Mr. Schuck, would you not blame me in thinking that you were not at the lift with Campos and the two police officers at 10:24? You see, I have a further problem, because then again, some 34 minutes later, we hear the following from 590K. I have a security with me, one officer and about 8 officers with me under the stairwell. I have the hallway on the 32nd floor. I have the security manager with me. I have one set of keys. Still no mention of a maintenance guy. Where have you gone, Mr. Sharp? In actual fact, they said it was the security manager that had the keys, and I assume he handed over the keys. I am really sorry for the length of this video. I didn't intend for it to be that long. What I'm going to do now is to finish here with my summary. My summary will show that I'm very controversial and contentious. This is my opinion, and the opinion is that the timeline is wrong. In my next video, I will show you how I have come to that conclusion. So my summary. My summary shows that Schuck was not, in my opinion, with Campos at the time of shooting. That the timeline, in my opinion, again is incorrect. My analysis and opinion is that 6 minutes are unaccounted for. Further to that, there was a time of 9 minutes between the last shots fired and the police meeting Campos. This is my findings and my opinions, but you decide. Well, thanks for watching, and again, apologies for the length of the video. I will get up my spreadsheets to show you how I came to the conclusion that the timeline is wrong. Thanks for watching.